Has there ever been a Canadian election which started so miserably? No one wanted it, continued so tediously. For the first 3 weeks, it was Salmonex with long speeches, and then turned into a cauldron of amazing stories. The Bloc Québécois fallen to dust and irrelevance. The NDP rise, Layton's cane and the surge. The demolition of the Liberals, Ignatieff's utter defeat, and then candidates who campaigned in Las Vegas and won in Quebec. Almost as good as campaigning in Quebec and winning in Vegas. So many dramatic stories that they overshadowed and crowded out the greater story of a fundamental realignment of Canadian politics. It is more than worth recalling that Preston Manning, one of the great political and intellectual forces of modern Canadian times, started all this. Far earlier than others, Manning saw the weaknesses of the Liberal Party. He correctly pushed for a place for the West at the national table. And Manning had the courage and foresight to start a political movement that in 20 years, with some changes, has displaced the natural governing party and forged new realities for Canadian politics. Manning should be recognized for this. Like another leader, he never got to see what he most made possible. Then there's the story of Stephen Harper himself. Harper has done political wizardry here. From the rocky and unstable platform of successive minority governments, he's not only held on, he now has the majority. It was in his moment that the Bloc Québécois self-immolated, vanished in a puff of smoke of its own irrelevance. He has 70-plus seats in Ontario, which just over a decade ago, 3 times elected at least 100 Liberals. Harper has pursued the party of giants Pearson and Trudeau into near oblivion. He's almost an anti-Obama. He excites real animosity. He has an almost Mulroney-esque capacity for igniting oversized anger, even contempt from his opponents. But for all the scorn he has had to take from those who like to think him just dumb and mean, he's outmaneuvered all the smarter people in the room. With little of the politician's gifts, neither Trudeau's charisma, Chrétien's folksy impersonations, Layton's ordinary guy approach, it is the reserved and stern Harper who has the majority and representation from coast to coast to coast. But Harper's larger achievement builds on Manning's. His arrival at majority fulfills that pledge of the early days. Remember, the West wants in. The West is not only in now and at the table, it owns the table. That's a real accomplishment. The dissatisfactions of the Western provinces were a real and dangerous fault line in this country. None of the other stories of Monday night, however fascinating and dramatic, are as significant. On 2 fronts, Quebec and the West, the dynamics of alienation and separatism have been very severely checked, and the least natural politician of a generation, Stephen Harper, is now its most successful. Whether you support him or not, that's really impressive. For The National, I'm Rex Murphy.